The 1980s were a transformative decade for professional football, not just because of iconic players and memorable games, but due to a bold challenge to the NFL's dominance. Enter the United States Football League, USFL, a spring league that aimed to compete directly with the NFL by introducing new ideas, signing top talent, and targeting untapped market. The USFL wasn't just another upstart league, it was an audacious project that sought to reshape the landscape of professional football. This is the story of the USFL's battle against the NFL, the highs and lows of its 3-year existence, and the lasting impact it left on the game. The USFL was the brainchild of David Dixon, a New Orleans entrepreneur who had long envisioned a professional spring football league. Dixon's vision was simple: capitalize on America's insatiable appetite for football by creating a league that wouldn't directly compete with the NFL's fall schedule. In 1982, his idea became a reality when the USFL was officially announced, with 12 teams ready to begin play in the spring of 1983. The league's strategy was bold yet calculated. It targeted markets underserved by the NFL, such as Birmingham, Memphis, and Orlando, while also planting teams in major cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles to gain national attention. The USFL aimed to attract fans with affordable ticket prices, high-scoring games, and innovative rules designed to make football faster and more exciting. The league's owners also committed to spending big on star players, a move that would define the USFL's brief but memorable existence. One of the USFL's most ambitious moves was its aggressive pursuit of top college talent and established NFL players. Rather than settling for second-tier talent, the USFL went head-to-head with the NFL in bidding wars for some of the biggest names in football. In 1983, the league made headlines by signing Herschel Walker, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, to the New Jersey Generals. Walker's signing sent shockwaves through the football world, proving that the USFL could lure marquee players away from the NFL. Over the next 2 years, the league continued its spending spree, landing stars like Steve Young, Jim Kelly, Reggie White, and Doug Flutie. These signings not only elevated the quality of play but also gave the USFL credibility in the eyes of fans and media. The USFL's willingness to break the NFL's unofficial rule of avoiding bidding wars for player services disrupted the market. Salaries skyrocketed, and college players suddenly had leverage to negotiate better deals. For many young athletes, the USFL was an attractive alternative that offered significant playing time and lucrative contracts. Beyond financial incentive, the league's appeal also came from its willingness to allow players more control over their careers. Some players, frustrated by the NFL's rigid policy, saw the USFL as an opportunity to showcase their skills in a more dynamic and player-friendly environment. The USFL didn't just copy the NFL, it sought to innovate and improve the game. The league introduced several rule changes that made games more dynamic and engaging. For example, the two-point conversion was introduced years before the NFL adopted it. The league allowed instant replay for officiating reviews, a revolutionary concept at the time. Overtime was implemented for regular season games to avoid ties. Teams were encouraged to adopt pass-heavy offenses, leading to higher-scoring, fast-paced games. These innovations, combined with the league's emphasis on fan experience, helped the USFL gain traction. Attendance was respectable, and television ratings were solid, with major networks like ABC and ESPN broadcasting games. By its second season, the league appeared to be carving out a niche for itself in the crowded sports landscape. The league's emphasis on offense led to some unforgettable games and record-breaking performances. Jim Kelly's run with the Houston Gamblers showcased the potential of a pass-heavy offense, as he threw for over 5,000 yards in a single season. Meanwhile, Reggie White's dominance on the defensive side of the ball gave the league a superstar who could rival the NFL's best. While the USFL initially thrived as a spring league, some owners began to push for a more aggressive approach. Chief among them was Donald Trump, the owner of the New Jersey Generals. Trump believed the USFL's ultimate goal should be to directly challenge the NFL by moving to a fall schedule and forcing a merger. His vision was to position the USFL as a legitimate rival, but it was a strategy fraught with risk. In 1986, the league announced plans to shift to a fall schedule, effectively putting itself in direct competition with the NFL. This decision proved to be disastrous. The USFL lacked the infrastructure, fan loyalty, and television contracts necessary to compete with the NFL during its traditional season. Attendance declined, and many teams faced financial difficulties as costs mounted. The USFL's most infamous move came when it filed an antitrust lawsuit against the NFL, accusing the league of monopolistic practices. The case went to trial in 1986, and while the USFL technically won, it was awarded only $1 in damages, later tripled to $3 under antitrust laws. The verdict was a symbolic victory but a financial disaster, effectively sealing the USFL's fate. By the time the lawsuit concluded, the USFL was on life support. The league's financial losses were unsustainable, and many teams folded under the weight of mounting debts. The shift to a fall schedule had alienated fans and strained relationships with broadcasters. In 1986, the USFL announced it was suspending operations, marking the end of its brief but impactful run. Despite its collapse, the USFL left a lasting legacy. Many of its innovations, including the two-point conversion and instant replay, were eventually adopted by the NFL. The league also served as a proving ground for future NFL stars like Reggie White, Steve Young, and Jim Kelly, who went on to have Hall of Fame careers. While the USFL ultimately failed in its battle against the NFL, its impact on professional football cannot be overstated. The league challenged the status quo, forcing the NFL to adapt and evolve. It also demonstrated that fans were willing to embrace new ideas and competition in a sport often resistant to change. The USFL story is one of ambition, innovation, and the perils of taking on an entrenched giant. It serves as a reminder of the fine line between boldness and overreach, and the challenges of competing in a marketplace dominated by a single entity. Yet, for all its flaws, the USFL captured the imagination of football fans and left a legacy that continues to influence the game to this day. The league's innovations also had ripple effects beyond the field. Its financial model, though unsustainable, forced both players and owners to reconsider the economics of professional football. The USFL demonstrated that player salaries and contract structures could be reimagined, laying the groundwork for changes in the NFL Players Association's negotiations in the years to come. The battle between the USFL and the NFL was a clash of ideologies and ambition. While the USFL ultimately couldn't sustain its challenge, it succeeded in pushing the boundaries of professional football. Its innovations, star players, and dramatic rise and fall remain a fascinating chapter in the history of the sport. The USFL story is one of dreams pursued and lessons learned. Though it lasted only 3 seasons, its impact is felt every time a team converts a two-point play or a referee reviews a call on instant replay. For football fan, the USFL represents the allure of what might have been, a bold experiment that dared to dream big in the shadow of the NFL. As new football leagues emerge in the modern era, like the XFL and the rebirth of the USFL, the lessons from the original league remain relevant. Ambition, innovation, and a willingness to take risks can drive success, but they must be balanced with sustainability and strategic planning. The USFL story is a reminder that even the boldest visions require a foundation strong enough to withstand the test of time.